Welcome to Norfolk Southern's Operation Awareness and Response training video for tank car identification. There are two types of tank cars in the United States, general service and pressure cars. We're going to talk about those two during this short video. There are some specialty cars out there, but we're not going to talk about those today. We're just going to focus on general service and pressure cars. When you start looking at a tank car or any rail car for that matter, if you look on the side of the car, there's a series of letters and numbers. It's on both sides, both ends of the car. Series of letters and numbers that make this car unique to any car in North America. You get this one piece of information off the tank car, and you contact the railroad, check the waybill, consist, or look in the Ask Rail app, and you can determine the contents of the car. Below the reporting marks on any tank car is a load limit and the lightweight. Load limit tells you how much stuff can go in the tank weight-wise, and then the lightweight of the car when there's nothing in it. On the right side of the tank car is the DOT specification and qualification stencil. This is how you can tell, again, whether it's a general service or a pressure car. In this case, we have a DOT 117A 100W1. DOT is the approval agency. 117 is the type of car which tells you, again, it's a general service car. A is the delimiter, 100 is the operating pressure, and the W1 tells you about the fittings. The easiest way to tell whether a car is a general service or a pressure car is to look at that second number. If that second number is 100 or less, it's a general service car. If it's over 100, it's a pressure car. If you look at this qualification stencil here, it'll also tell you some important information. It'll tell you the type of safety relief device it has. In this case, the pressure relief device is a valve, and it is set to discharge 75 PSI. This is an example of a jacketed general service car. The way you can tell whether the car is bearskin or jacketed is look where the bolster attaches to the car. If you can see this bolster and this tank sits in a saddle and you see this nice smooth saddle weld here, you know that this is a bearskin car. If the bolster goes up inside some metal behind the jacket, then you know you have a jacketed car. This is important to know in the event you have tank car damage and or if you're contemplating having to cool the car with water in the event of a fire. All tank cars have shelf couplers. One of the features of a general service car, if you can look up on top of the car, and if you can see more than one thing up there, like protective housing and a manway, you know it's a general service car. If you look under the car and you can see that it has a bottom outlet, it is a general service car. If it has a bottom outlet, that bottom outlet's going to have a skid attached to the bottom of the tank to protect the valve in the event of a derailment. This part shears off. This skid plate protects the valve. All the newer tank cars, the operating handle has to be disengaged and pinned in place while it's in transportation. So in the event you put the car on the ground, you shear the cap off, if you catch this operating handle, it's not going to operate the valve. The operating handle will spin free and not operate the valve and not dump the contents of the car. Now let's talk about pressure cars. Again, if you look at the tank car from the side, look on the right-hand side here. Look for the specification stencil and qualification stencil. In this case, you got a DOT 105J 500W. It tells the approval agency's Department of Transportation. 105 tells you it's a pressure car. If you don't remember the stencils, look at the second number. If this number is over 100, it's a pressure car. Again, on the qualification stencil, it'll tell you whether it's a pressure relief valve or a rupture disc. In this case, PRD valve, and it's set to function at 375 PSI. If you notice, pressure cars have no bottom outlet. It's generally just brake rigging below the car. And up on top of the car, if you'll notice, there's only one housing up there. All the valves and fittings are inside a 3/4 inch steel ring to protect the valves in the event of a rollover. Pressure cars are jacketed. The way you tell whether the car has a jacket or not is, again, look at this bolster. If you can't see that nice smooth saddle weld, you know that this is a jacket. Again, pressure cars have a metal jacket 1/8 of an inch thick. The inner tank of a pressure car is anywhere from 9/16 to 1/1/8 of an inch thick. Between that jacket and the tank is insulation and thermal protection. The function of thermal protection is to give you 30 minutes in a torch fire and 100 minutes in a pool fire. That timer starts when the fire starts, not when you guys get the call.